Hi guys, it's day 24. Yes, third day in a row with Liquify now, so we go really deep to open up some of the really clever and comical things that it can do for you. My name's Kevin Aronson from Hampshire School of Photography. Welcome to 30 days of Photoshop. 30 days and here we are at day 24. We're coming to the end, is in sight. You can just about see it, but we're nearly there. Day 24, Liquify part 3. So on day 3, looking at Liquify, now we're going to concentrate on the face. I'm going to load this picture of Hannah into Liquify. So on a Mac it's Shift Command X, and on the PC it's Shift Control X. That will send us straight into Liquify. There we go. That's good. And the right hand side may look a little bit different because I've clicked on this drop down here. It says Face Aware Liquify. And over here on the left hand side I have selected the Face tool. So a few years ago, and it wasn't that long ago, at least it doesn't seem it, Adobe added this whole section here to make it easy to adjust elements of the face. And you notice we have sections for the eyes, for the nose, mouth, and the face shape, and lots of goodies within inside each slider. Now, before I do this, I kind of need to give a bit of a warning because it's quite possible to transform this face completely beyond recognition. Well, not completely beyond, but to change it so significantly that perhaps the person whose face it is no longer recognizes themselves. And if you take control of the face for a client or for a friend who's expecting a nice photograph of themselves, and you play around with this too much, you could end up with a face which clearly doesn't represent who or what they are. When do I use this? Well, if it's for a client, I really use it in its very bare minimum form, and I have to be extremely cautious that any changes I make aren't going to really impact the overall look of that person's face. However, if I'm trying to get some images together for my website as a shop window to my work, then I want every face to look its best. I want people to look at my images and go, wow, this photographer really knows what he's doing. His faces, his models look spectacular. And that may be because I have transformed their face from where it was to where I wanted it to be to give the overall effect. So I think these changes are permissible if you're just creating a shop window of your work. But if you're producing an image to give to someone, you're taking a picture of someone and you're giving it to them, be very, very mindful that if you get this wrong, you will upset them. So do not push those sliders too far. Having said that, you can play around with this and have a bit of fun. So let's have a bit of fun. Yesterday we looked at using the bloat tool for adjusting the eyes, and that's the way we used to do it. But now we've got a whole eye section, and if we look up here, you'll notice we've got actually got left eye and right eye. It says there, if you move your mouse over, increase, decrease the left eye area, and on this one, increase, decrease the right eye area. And the same applies to eye height vertically, eye width, and the eye tilt. Now, it's very unusual to photograph someone whose eyes are exactly the same size, both of them identical. You normally find people have one eye slightly larger than another, or maybe their head is twisted when you take the photo and one eye just looks bigger than the other. So you have the option here to adjust each eye individually. So if I slide the left hand one, watch the left eye, it gets bigger or smaller. I'm just going to hit 0 to take that back to where it was, and the same could be done for the right hand eye. But if you click this little chain link in between, it links the two eyes together, so whatever you adjust on one side adjusts equally on the other. So watch this, there you go, they're both being adjusted together. It's a great tool, but having the ability to adjust them individually does mean you can cope with anomalies. I Really thought for a minute I wasn't going to pronounce that word very well. I'm not going to chance it a second time. Okay, so if you have got one eye bigger than the other, or one eye just needs a slight tweak more than the other, you have the option to do them individually. It's going to set that back to 0. Eye height is literally the vertical adjustment. Let's click on there, and we do them both at the same time. So if I was adjusting the eye size to just give the eye a little bit of impact, I'd probably type in, it usually is between 15 and 20. Let's see what happens if I do 20. So because I've got the chain link clicked, both eyes are going to adjust together. I'm going to hit 20, boom. Did you see the difference? It wasn't much, was it? Let's undo that. Let's do 25. And you could, at a stretch, go to that. And of course, the bigger her eyes are, the more attractive the face often is. So it's up to you. What about eye width? I've never played with this. You know that old thing about he looks a bit devious, his eyes are too close together. Although that's this one, isn't it? Eye distance. We'll come to that. Eye width is, wow, I don't think I've ever used that one, but there may be an occasion. Can't imagine when, but there may well be. Let's reset those to 0. Eye tilt. Okay. So you couldn't you? You could have a lot of fun with that. And combine that with the eye distance. Radically changing. Let's set that back to 0. Set that back to 0. So yes, if you've got someone with their eyes too close together, they look a bit devious, you can widen them. Why you would want to do that, I don't know, but I'm sure that I don't know. Why would you want to do that? But it's there. Let's close the eye section and let's look at the nose. So the nose gives you two adjustments. You've got nose height or nose width. You can either grab the slider with your mouse, or if you hover over the description text, nose height, you see you've got this little hand with two arrows. You can drag right or left over here. And notice now on the image what's happening to a nose. So I'm raising its height above the top lip. Ends up shortening the nose that way or lengthening it that way. And nose width, well, there it narrows it or widens it. And there have been a few occasions where I've taken a picture of someone for my website and the nose has been a bit bulbous, so I've kind of narrowed it a little bit. But I kind of feel that I've got more control using some of the other controls over on the left hand side. So things like the forward warp tool and even the push left tool and even the pucker tool would give you more control over the final shape of the eye of the nose. But you can see here you've got these little controls. When you switch on this face tool, you get these guidelines. I don't know whether you can see them. There's ones here around the face, others around the nose. There should be some around the eye as well. You can actually grab them direct. So grabbing them and moving them is the same as moving them over here on the right hand panel. If you don't see these little dots appearing, then you need, I think it's that one, show face overlay. Yeah, there we go. Show face overlay. You need that ticked. So I'm going to reset everything back to normal. Boom, 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 boom. And let's look at the mouth. Okay, mouth. I'll be honest with you, photographed families where there's an irritating child who will not cooperate and smile. It happens an enormous amount of the time. For some reason, it tends to be boys more than girls, and they obstinately will not cooperate and look at or give a pleasing, smiling, happy face to the camera. And when that's happened, there have been on a few occasions where I've just done that. Just done that. And this is interesting because although we're using software here to create a smile, that may not be how that person actually smiles. It may not be that their mouth goes up like that, it behaves differently as the smile is created. So if you take a picture of someone and you make them smile, they say, "That's weird. I don't ever remember putting a face like that." So you've got to be mindful of that. Of course, you can take away the smile. Now, I think for an image on my website, actually getting rid of the smile is probably cool. I rather like that. I prefer that look to that. I actually quite like that. It looks more intense, especially if you put a little bit of eye tilt. Okay. You can control the width and thickness of the upper lip. Or the bottom one. If somebody says to you, "My lips don't look very good, give me the Botox look," you could just go crazy on that. Mouth width speaks for itself. And then mouth height. That can be quite cool. Sometimes someone hasn't quite got the right expression with the mouth and you can just tweak it. But again, be cautious. Let's go on to the last section, which is face shape. And the forehead is how high or how low the forehead is. Some people do have remarkably high foreheads. If you push it down, beware. They may say, "Oh, have you done Photoshop my head? I'm sure it doesn't look right." So just be mindful of that. And chin height. The other way, that looks completely wrong. Jawline. Now this can be quite good. If you've got someone who's got quite a gaunt face, quite a thin face, you can open it up. But again, if that's the way they normally look, you are running a risk if you changing their face and giving them a picture with their face suddenly expanded. But for your own purposes, to publicise and market your own work, then different story. And then finally face width, which is the whole face. So you could combine the two together and get a completely different looking girl. It's very odd. Okay, and that concludes the last session on Liquify. Well, that was day 3 of the series, just concentrating on Liquify. And that last part with all those sliders manipulating the face, you know, many's an ugly face that's been made beautiful in that section of Photoshop. And then again, probably many's a beautiful face that's been made ugly as well. It's just good fun. Enjoy the fun. If photography loses its fun, it becomes too serious, somewhere we've lost the plot. If you've been enjoying these 30 days of Photoshop and you want to make sure you catch all of them, then find them on our blog, phototeacher.blog. If, on the other hand, you want real workshops in real classrooms with real people, then we have a training centre in Fleet in North Hampshire, where we don't only teach on Photoshop and Lightroom, but we also run our photography classes. Now, these could be one-day workshops, or maybe workshops running over a few days long, or even half a day, some of them. And of course, we've got 1-year courses as well. So if you want to find out more, then log on to our other website, gohsp.com. gohsp.com. HSP, obviously, is Hampshire School of Photography. So check out gohsp.com and hopefully we'll see you at some future event. Thank you for watching. It's been a hoot. See you tomorrow. Bye.